What's going on, fellow A-Plusters? It's your boy, Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new review for you guys today as we're set to get into our Star Wars bag, as we've got our High Council here, certainly to go ahead and dive into the brand new Star Wars series, Andor. We're going to be diving into Andor Season 2, Episodes 1 through 3. We got a lot to talk about, guys. Sit back, relax, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Welcome, Force users. It is I, your host, Adam Perez. We're back once again as I got my fellow co-host here, Crystal Kyber. You guys probably all know her, along with Will Polk, always coming through for us both, man. It's so good to see you guys. Our Star Wars family is reunited. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. I'm really excited to talk about Star Wars with you guys. I really missed this.
I know, me too. I've been really eager, especially Crystal, because I know how much you've been fangirling about this season. Like, I feel like I should just give you the floor and let you lead, because I feel like there's so much you want to talk about. But I am really eager to talk about this. We are short one member today. Unfortunately, Stewart could not join us. His boss is being an a-hole, apparently. And hopefully he will be here next week. He did share some of his thoughts with us, so I'll probably share some of those with you guys as we go through. But yeah, man, it's fantastic to have everybody back. Will, what you been up to, man? How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Great to be back with the Jedi Council here on A+. Thanks for having me. We are having a good week. It's been a great week of television. We had obviously we had The Last of Us Sunday night, and of course that has definitely dominated the conversation. We have our show up right now, reviewing episode 2, so go check that out, and we'll also be starting our reviews on our Senior Nerd podcast this coming week with Andor. So we're going a little delayed just because of the release schedule drop. It just seemed to work better for us to do a week delay, but excited to be here with the Jedi Council tonight to talk with you guys about Andor. The band is reunited, and yeah, lot to get into.
Yeah, absolutely. How have you been, Crystal? What have you been up to lately?
Been good. I've been working a lot. I've also been watching The Last of Us. I'm actually really excited to watch your videos about it, Will, because you guys are the only people that I know that are covering The Last of Us, and I need someone to like nerd out with about it. So I will be watching your videos as they come out, but just working, just shooting a ton. So I'm a little bit tired. I just watched Andor like maybe 15 minutes ago. I just finished. So I don't have notes with me today, but I'm still excited to talk about it with you guys.
Dude, the struggle is real, man. Like when Tony Gilroy said, I feel sorry for podcasters and people that are going to talk about this, I'm like, I don't know how I did it. Yesterday, I managed to watch all 3 episodes, but it was like late last night. It had to be like 11 o'clock. I had to be up for work by 7, but I was like, I'm pushing through. Like I gotta watch these episodes. And then I was, don't nobody tell on me, but while I was working towards the end of my shift, that's all I was doing. I was watching like the last 2 episodes, just preparing myself, answer the phone when I need to, but other than that, just been trying to do like a double, watch them both back to back if I could. So yeah,
that's funny because I watched the first episode last night and I started the second, and that's and nothing about the quality of the second episode, but I just I was finding myself missing gaps. So I was like, okay, let me just stop it. Yeah, I did the same thing. Watched the last 30 minutes of the episode 2, and then watched the 3rd episode tonight. But yeah, I have thoughts about the release schedule for sure.
Yes, yeah. Some part of me wonders if I would feel this way if we weren't making content.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I mean that's true. Because I feel like if we weren't making content, if we didn't have like a set schedule as to when we needed to watch these episodes by, then yeah, I think it wouldn't be so much of a problem. But yeah, I'm like, man, I got 2 days to watch 3 episodes. I gotta be better with my time management for sure.
Right, right. And digest it and like come up with
Yep.
things to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yep.
That's why I had to watch it. That's why I had to watch them twice because I was like, I gotta find some way to watch them again the second time today before we go live. And I literally just like you finished 15 minutes ago. I probably finished it like 20 minutes ago too, like
Yeah.
just getting in that last episode. But
Yeah.
but yeah, guys, look as we go through our Andor review. Look, these are simply our A+ opinions. We always want to know yours. Please share your thoughts in the live chat as we're going through these, or in the comment section afterwards. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what you thought about episodes 1 through 3 and the return of Andor. You guys know how we like to kick off. Overall thoughts. We won't do overall thoughts of like 1, 2, and 3, but I would like your overall thoughts, Crystal, since it's fresh in your mind.
Right.
I want to know your thoughts in regards to the return of Andor for these 3 episodes.
I am so excited about this show. It is hands down the best show on Disney Plus on the whole entire platform. Like, I was a little bit worried because the first trailer we got was like so action packed. It was like, what was that movie, Top Gun Maverick? I was like, what is this? Like, this is not Andor. So I was like a little bit worried, but these 3 episodes have just kept with the tone, the seriousness, and the quality of Andor season 1. And dare I say, it might be doing even better. Even though there is a lot of action, it still has a lot of that like breathing room. I wouldn't say it's as slow paced as the first season, but there's a lot of moments that are slow and like it kind of like, I don't want to say dragged out because that's like negative, but there's a lot of scenes in there that just, they have so much room for you to like speculate and wonder, and beautiful storytelling overall. Very, very happy. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I will jump on that point of maybe not necessarily better, but I think the pacing worked to its advantage the first 3
Mhm.
episodes. I think season 1 we kind of built up to like a heist or a planned event sort of thing. It took a couple episodes to get to that. This season just boom, just like threw us right in there, gave us action right off the bat sort of thing. And so yeah, I think that helped the momentum in the sense of then you can give us spaces of breathing room in here, having Andor already in the middle of a couple of situations. The first 2-3 episodes I think really helped balance some of the slow paced aspects, but then gave us a little bit of action and stuff too. So I think the pacing worked really well in these first 3 episodes. But what about you, Will? What'd you think about it?
Yeah, I would agree with the pacing. I do think the second episode did drag a little bit with me with the whenever they were on. Well, if you're watching this, you're this is a spoiler cast, so only Yavin that we see there at the end. But the overall, I really did enjoy this series kickoff. It really did. At the, it had the good moments of like telling us where we are in the timeline. It's 4 years, Battle Before Yavin. It's 1 year, later from the events of season 1, and and jumping right into the episode, we see Cassian now. If season 1 it was him getting radicalized, now he is a part of the rebellion and he's on a mission, and we see that, and so it really gets you back into that world and mindset of like, here's how things were when the empire was at its peak. As we are seeing things on the various planets, and also we see the Mon Mothma, as far as the choices that people are having to make uh, all throughout these first 3 episodes. So we see the juxtaposition of like, she's dealing with her family, the wedding that was arranged. Cassian's trying to steal this TIE fighter, and then of course that goes sideways, and we're seeing Bix and Brasso and Woman on this other planet, and how life, how life under the empire is impacted by everyone, in different settings. So and different and different parts of the rebellion, because again, it's not the full-fledged rebellion that we see in episodes 4 through 6. It's still very nascent, and so I really really like that. Now, so I was just already starting to like pull the tentacles together as far as we're here, trying to figure out where Star Wars Rebels fits into all this, and so yeah, I thought it was really just overall a really good start, especially about midway through the third episode. I was like, I'm back on. I'm fully into this universe and fully into this world, and remember why I think Andor is the best Star Wars property out there, as far as clearly on the Disney Plus platform, but also just in the overall Star Wars universe to date. I think it's one of the best uh, pieces of IP in the Star Wars universe as far as live action.
Yeah, man. I think Tony Gilroy is like really leaving behind an incredible legacy in regards to just what he's been able to work on and give us in this Disney era. The Rogue One stuff, the 2 seasons of Andor now. I mean, this is like prestige level kind of Star Wars we're talking here. It's a bummer he's probably not, he's probably gonna leave after this and go on
Yeah.
and do other things. But man, he's definitely left his mark for sure. So really pleased with it. Shout out to Joe. What's up, Joe James? Thank you so much for certainly coming through. Andor says good pacing. Kiki and Luca. What's up, Kiki and Luca? I heard the first 3 episodes are slow, but really picks up starting 4. That's crazy to me. I mean, I do understand people that have the complaint about Andor being a little bit too slow at times. I thought episode 1 really came out of the gate strong. I was hella impressed. After the first episode, I was like, oh my gosh, like let's go. I'm ready to get into the second episode. I would agree with you, Will. Episode 2 for me slowed down just a bit. But the intensity really picked up a little bit more come episode 3, and you can feel Cassian wanting to get back home, and everything starting to unfold for Mon Mothma in regards to what's happening with Ty is his name, Ty is his name.
Mhm.
And then of course the big stuff, and just how quickly that really kind of erupted. So yeah, I mean, I definitely understand the lulls in between the episodes, but yeah, I would agree by the end of episode 3, I am finding myself like I got to remind myself like after this we're going another year, so it'll be interesting to see how much, I don't want to say how much we've missed, but what's kind of occurred, or how do they showcase us how much has changed for these characters within that year, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure, yeah. One thing that Crystal, you mentioned about the release schedule, and I know we joked about it too just at the beginning of the podcast here, on the stream, about it's hard for content creators, but also before we started recording, I was like, I had some thoughts about the release schedule, and I'm of two minds of it, because part of me was like, as I was watching it, I was just like, I understand. I feel like I almost need to see 2 chapters before I can make a final determination about whether or not this was the right way to go or the wrong way to go. But my gut reaction right now has been like, part of me is like, I wish they did do a week-to-week release, because to your point, Crystal, there are a lot of things going on that I feel like, because it's in this like quasi binge model, there's a lot of stuff that's just not having time to breathe and process.
Yeah.
So, and maybe if I wasn't trying to watch this to talk about it, maybe I would have that opportunity to let it flow a bit. But like I said, I think it's going to take maybe a few chapters, or even maybe the whole series to make a final verdict as far as was this the right way to release this show or not.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Like, I wish it was week to week, because I thought like maybe these 3 episodes really needed to be viewed together. But after watching each one, I'm like, oh, I could have waited a week and kind of let like these little, there's a lot of moments in there that really made you think, or like really made you, that weren't as obvious. And I think they kind of get like rushed along in that. So yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah. I will say though, but given the events of the third episode, just the seriousness of it, with what transpired with Bix and stuff, I think the way that these 3 episodes are structured, it was having that real dark moment of just showing how sadistic the Empire really is. Having that as that third episode, well, it's kind of like how it felt like after I watched The Last of Us. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but it was one of those things where afterwards I was just, I think I got to sit with this just for a moment, And
Yeah.
so because it was pretty, there were some moments, with the attempted assault on Bix in that episode, the loss of Brasso. I mean, there were some moments there where I did have to feel like I just needed to like just sit with it, because it's just like, this shit's, this is, Star Wars is a political show or a political story. And it is it's allegory storytelling at its best. And in some, when it's at this peak level that Andor is. And so, so the seriousness of those moments, um, I'm, it was the right move to have that story be the end of this chapter, because it does give you as an audience member an opportunity to sit with that until we get to the time jump for next week's chapter.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Because then because I am finding myself trying to figure out like how will these events change these characters the next time that we kind of see them. I mean, we kind of got introduced to Bix still dealing with the ramifications, like the PTSD, if you
Yeah.
will, from 1 year ago.
Mhm.
Is this just an additional PTSD on top of what she's already dealing with? Like, what is her mentality going to be in a year, or is she stronger from it? I'm gonna be really interested in that. I really enjoyed these first 3 episodes. Honestly, I had a blast with them.
Mhm.
I gotta say, man, the production value on this show is just ridiculous to me. I watch it and I'm just amazed as to just like the color grading, how thematic it looks, the or cinematic it looks, the how clean and crisp everything is. The lines are beautiful, the colors are beautiful. It's just a really gorgeous sort of show to watch. And I do look at, and I am kind of curious as to how much money they actually spent budget wise each episode this season, because it's just a really beautiful, really really well put together season. Like, I wonder if Lucasfilm gave them more money after what they saw with season 1, and some of the recognition that it wind up getting. I do wonder if Lucasfilm put more money towards it this time around, because from the set pieces to the on location shots, they had some incredible like long unedited shots, especially the Chandrilla moments with Mon Mothma, which I thought was just, from a directing and cinematography standpoint, I thought they had some incredible scenes in here for sure. I think for me, after watching these 3 episodes, my I won't say my opinion on the Empire has changed, but I feel like this is like the cruelest that I feel like we've ever seen some of the Empire before. I mean, you look at the 2 moments that really stood out to me, the Gorma conference that they had in regards to what they're willing to do in order to get these rare minerals that the Empire is asking for, and
Mhm.
you having to see like all the situations that they're plotting and the lengths that they'll certainly go in regards to just like, a massacre or a slaughter or just like a extinction level kind of kind of thing for just these people that just living their lives. It's pretty scary to see the Empire have that level of power. And you know what I loved, I don't want to say I loved, but with these episodes established for me too, as I go back to the big stuff, because one of the things that I thought they did really well with just the visual effects is just show just how isolated that planet was, in the sense that there's like nobody around. Like, besides the people that are there, there's like nobody around. And it just goes to solidify again, just like the open reign that the Empire has in regards to just doing whatever the hell that they want. The idea that nobody's watching half the time. If you've got a couple of good other soldiers next to you that know how to keep quiet, like you literally could just get away with anything. And there's a scene in here too when the gentleman that owns, I guess it's the wheat farm. I don't know what they were harvesting, but he tells, um was it Brasa? Brasa? What's his name?
Brasso.
Brasso. he tells him, he says, look, whoever the guy is that you're working for, can you tell him it's like terrible out here? Like, we really need some help. And I love that he says, like, look, this is everywhere. Like how people are being treated here, this is everywhere. And I just love that these first 3 episodes really show the grasp, the power, and just the cruel intentions that the Empire certainly has, juxtaposed to the Rebel Alliance that is just not even alliance right now. Like, it's literally scattered, you know? I mean, just getting the opportunity to see just how um they really don't have any leaders, and you got these random stray groups of rebels that don't even know what's kind of going on. It's just the complete opposite of how powerful the Empire is right now. And so I think they did a really good job of setting that up in the sense of like showcasing Andor as a leader, um, and how much of more of a leadership role is he going to take as these next sort of 3 or 4 years kind of transpire. So I thought they did a lot of really great setting up in here. I had a really good time with these first 3 episodes, man. It looks gorgeous. It looks gorgeous. The action was certainly intense for sure. I had a blast with these 2 episodes. Or 3 episodes.
Yeah, I thought of you, Crystal. With speaking of the costumes and stuff, I was whenever I was watching episodes, like I'm looking forward to like hearing
Yeah.
Crystal's thoughts on the costuming and
Yeah.
makeup and stuff. Just given your day job and what you
Yeah.
do.
I was looking. I actually really appreciated the costumes in this episode. They're so good. The makeup didn't really bug me. There was like one thing that bugged me a little bit, but I think that's just me nitpicking. If you guys want to hear it, I could tell you, but I don't want to also like put you onto something and then it bothers you.
Nah.
You know, but I don't know. You made so many good points, Adam, and I think this is why like having 3 episodes of content to talk about is just so massive, to the point of like how beautiful this show is. I would 100% agree. Like all the shots, all the framing, the blocking, the lighting, the actual sets, like everything is just so well done. Like this is top tier Star Wars. Both you and Will had a good point that you both made about how we're like thrown right into it and how like sinister the Empire is. And I think that this really reminds me of Rebels. Like there's so much of episode 2 and episode 3 that remind me so much of Rebels, but like more adult, like an adult version of Rebels. So yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, I think that's the thing. You know, whenever when we had the earlier episodes 4 through 6, yeah, the Empire was, it was a rebellion period and stuff, and by that point, things, rebellion had gotten their stuff together. But but and a lot of times they would be played for laughs. So the sadistic nature of it wasn't as present. And then of course the prequel trilogy, of course, shows the rise of it. But I mean, but this really, this show, and I think you're spot on. I mean, yeah, Rebels definitely, we got, as you referenced, Adam, the Ghorman backstory here as far as why we'll later have the massacre and what that leads to Mon Mothma joining, officially coming out and leaving the Senate from that massacre. If you recall, folks who watched Rebels will remember that. But yeah, I mean, but it really does like highlight is how evil they are, and seeing puts and I remember that too in the first season as well. It just really puts real context and texture to why it had to go. But also I do also like, what I like about this series is it also shows that the good guys still have to get their hands dirty with fighting for your freedom and stuff. I think the original trilogy sometimes romanticized the rebellion, whereas I think Andor is definitely the more grounded pieces of showing the rebellion, not only the formation of it, but also the tactics and things. Like when I think about Andor there in the first episode where he's having to steal the TIE fighter, and whenever he's having the conversation with the defector, he was actually kind of playing the Luthen role with that young lady. And then when her friend came by, and she calls her over and they start having a conversation and stuff, and you see that look in Andor's eyes, like, I might have to kill both of these folks if this goes sideways. And so, and of course, thinking back to Rogue One, I mean, we saw that was, I think, our introduction to Cassian in Rogue One was whenever he had to kill the rebel informant. So, so it really shows how the guys have to get their hands dirty, in this fight. So, so I think that's the other aspect of this show that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the romanticizing of what the rebellion was, because I remember just growing up as a kid, I always just viewed the rebellion as like another army that just pushes back, or a group of people that just pushes back, or they come into a planet and they help save people and they push the empire out, sort of thing, but getting to see, like you said, getting their hands dirty and the sacrifices and the people that unfortunately do die along the way, sort of thing. It does put different context to what this rebellion really is. I'm glad you brought up the because Kiki said the opening scene was beautiful, talking about the TIE fighter stuff. I'm glad you brought up the moment that he talks with the defector here. One, I love being thrown right into the mission for this episode in the beginning of the episode. And I love seeing and feeling the risks it takes certain individuals to have to make these tough decisions. Like you could literally feel the girl's anxiety and her nervousness, in the sense, like, I do not want to get caught doing this. Like her, oh my God, I shouldn't have even looked at you in the face, sort of thing. Right. I mean, to realize what these people have to literally risk in order to, like, she's just one person in this whole spectacle of the rebellion, or just even as a part of the empire, having to make this tough decision. And I love that we get to see that after everything Cassian's been through, he is that leadership voice, talking her off the edge and trying to kind of reassure her in here. So I just thought it was really cool that we get to see the real emotional struggle for just this one individual, these individual people that have to make these big choices when it comes to the rebellion and pushing back. I thought it was a really cool insight.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was 3 or 4 or 5 minutes of screen time that this character had, but that's the genius of Tony Gilroy storytelling. To your point, I mean, that really just shows, again, what's the risk for these folks? What, especially at this point, before, we just have a bunch of cells, rebellion cells, thrown throughout the galaxy. They're not enough, proper alliance at this point. But the fear that she had, I mean, it's just so much, like, there's just so much in there. That's why I was like, maybe they should have done a weekly release, because just those moments like that are just like, if you binge it, you just sometimes don't have a chance to just marinate on those kind of things.
Yeah. And I think you had said something about this earlier, Adam, but how when they were on Yavin, Cassian had this leadership role. Like, he just knew how to direct like this misguided group of rebels. And I thought that was so interesting. And then we find out that these are the rebels that are going to become, the rebel, which I think is such a good, like, way to perceive how far they came in such a short amount of time, and like the type of person it takes to rally people against the Empire. Like, it really has, even in Rebels, have they like made the announcement yet by this point in the show? No, not yet. So it really is just like really random, really sparse amount of people. So it's crazy.
It's funny because, like, he's giving these people like orders and like advice, and he's tied up, like he's their prisoner, and yet he's the one that's the leader among everybody. Like, I think you guys should do this, or you guys should probably do that. And they
get water.
Like, guys, we got to survive somehow, right? Like, come on, let's get our stuff together.
Right.
You can't even talk shit to them, because he's like, they're so disorganized and stuff. They're both incompetent and like and dangerous.
And dangerous.
That's a terrible combination, dude. What a bad combo. And like, I did find them very much like the I don't want to say the comedy, but definitely the humorous aspect of
Right.
the couple of
Yeah.
episodes, them bickering against with each other and stuff, trying to figure out who's gonna fly the TIE fighter. Should you get him the trainer? I'm just like,
Right.
yeah, these are a
Yeah.
bunch of imbeciles, man. It's pretty
Yeah.
funny.
Why would you tell him you have 15?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did laugh at that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was crazy too. I'm just like they literally killed the guy that Andor was meeting, but yet they're all on the same team, and they didn't even know what was kind of going on. It's like everybody's stepping on each other's toes, putting each other's mission sort of like at risk, sort of thing. It was just a really weird scenario. But again, it goes to show you just how like disheveled this group is right now. That there's really no leader.
Yeah.
And then they play rock, paper, scissors. Like,
Yeah.
Okay. Put your guns down. Let's play rock, paper, scissors and figure this out like men.
Yeah, that's a great point, Crystal. That especially whenever, because we obviously at the beginning of that we didn't know that was happening.
Right.
When Andor first landed on that planet, the moon of Yavin 4, I should say. But
I guess those dudes are just stuck there, huh?
Yeah, starving.
Yeah.
Like they got no ship. Homeboy never came back for them like he was supposed to.
Having to eat a durian. I mean, for folks who've been to Southeast Asia, they'll know what a durian is. This is like the stinky, the stinkiest fruit ever.
I can taste it just thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I get it'll be interesting to see like when they go back to Yavin 1, are these people still alive? Have they like, are they gonna find corpses, or like are they or will they find the temples, like will this group of rebels find the temples and kind of get stuff cleaned up a little bit? No.
Yeah.
They're not gonna make it, right?
They're not gonna survive the night.
Especially with those creatures that was actually kind of scared me a little bit, coming out in the middle of the night and eating one of those dudes.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about that Ghorman meeting?
I was just
close to home.
I was just gonna say, I do want to, since we were talking about the rebellion, I do want to talk about the Empire a little bit, because that Ghorman meeting, I think what really tripped me out, like, it wasn't just the meeting and the idea that they had, like, this was what the Emperor wants, right? It was like when they had the propaganda team stand up, I was like, ain't no way. Like, ain't no way.
Yeah. That was hitting very close to present day. I was just like,
too close. I was like, dude, but this is look, it's and it's not even necessarily just present day. Like, if you just look through history and the concept of fascism and things like that, like this is the playbook, in the sense of not only do you have to start like telling lies, but making up stories. And then I love the advice, Krennic asking Dedra, like, look, or Dedra, like, look, I know you already had a plan before these two stopped talking. Like, what did you suggest? And I love the fact that she suggests, technically, like, you got to have some Ghorman traitors. Like, you got to have some people on the ground that are willing to do wrong things, spread lies, really start getting your own people to want to push back against your own people. Like, you really have to find a leverage point. And I mean, it's really, really close to home. But just I laughed because I was like, I can't believe they have a propaganda team, but it makes complete sense to me, in a sense of how are you going to turn a society against themselves? And you usually do that by getting them to do some infighting with each other, start distrusting each other, and then next thing you got people weaseling in, coming in with more power, acquiring more power, just to kind of do what it is that they need to do. And before you know it, you're, I don't want to say voting, but you're going against your own interest. You know what I mean? Like, and that's how they break you down. But it's not just relevant for today, and heaven forbid it certainly is. But it's through the history of fascism for sure is how exactly how they're doing it.
Oh yeah. That's definitely some the Ministry of Truth there.
What did they call them? What was that? Was that their name?
No, I was thinking they had 1984. Yeah.
But they did call them a Ministry of something. I thought I can't
remember what it is.
Enlightenment or something.
Yeah, Ministry of Enlightenment or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, haven't you ever thought that they've got this attitude about them, that they're a little uppity sometimes? Like, oh damn,
Yeah.
they really.
I know.
But
Yeah.
I will say when Krennic showed up, obviously we know that he was the project design lead behind the Death Star and stuff. So I was actually really thinking that we were going to go into the whole. This was like the group that was going to go into like the Death Star and all that kind of stuff. And we got to name drops with
Tarkin.
Tarkin. Yeah, I had a little brain freeze there.
I got
But
you.
but then but whenever they went to the massacre, well, not the massacre, I'm thinking getting ahead of myself, but when they started mentioning Ghorman and the plan and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, so it makes sense why they have all these, I guess, the best of the best as far as the leadership of the Empire, and seeing Dedra there, and also her I guess her mentor, made sense, especially given what we know, how the ISB was, their role. I guess they're sort of like the SS as far as the in the Empire there. So so I thought that it was, again, this really a lot of these foundational points that they're setting here in these initial 3 episodes that's going to like propel things further down the story.
Yeah, I also thought that they were going to lean more into like the Death Star. Like when they said they're going to be mining the forgot what the energy source that they're going to be mining, but I thought that they were going to say Kyber, like they're mining Kyber crystals, and then they said something else, and I was like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, I think they refer to it as I wrote it down, calcite.
Calcite.
Yeah, calcite.
Yeah. Because the Emperor loves his unlimited power. Because it's a never-ending energy source, and he refers to it as they needed it to for painting the reactor lenses, which I would assume would be for the Death Star.
Right. So it's almost already complete. They're just like finishing up the.
Yeah, it feels like it. What was Jyn Erso's father?
Galen. I was expecting to see Galen there. I was like, where is he?
I was looking for Galen. Yeah, I was looking for him as well. That's why I was like, okay, everybody's there, so where's Galen?
Where's Galen?
I mean, he might pop up. He might pop up randomly.
He was at Celebration this year.
Oh, was he? Okay.
He was. Why would he be at Celebration?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because I know Jimmy Smits is not going to be able to be back, because I think they recast Bail Organa with Benjamin Bratt.
Right.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, but I was like, come on, are we gonna get some Mads Mikkelsen here? Come on.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see that. So they said they had plans on displacing 800,000 Ghorman, is what they said. They were just thinking about displacing them in the sense of like either moving them off planet, but he said they aren't counting out unstabilizing the planet if necessary, so like making it uninhabitable. I literally cannot imagine the idea of doing that to 800,000 people. Like that's just so bananas to me. Like I'm literally in my head thinking to myself, like, we're gonna have a 1 year time jump here. Has it already started? Have that when we come back, has the Empire already established themselves in there, and they're trying to undermine the people still currently? Like I'll be kind of curious to see how far along we certainly are, but we're talking planet ending stuff, and that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think in one of the trailers, I think we do see the actual incident. That if you go back and watch the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's one of them. Yeah, I think that's one of the moments, if I recall.
Oh man. Okay, I have to rewatch it.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about the cruelty of the Empire, I do want, there's other characters I want to get to, but I do want to talk Bix a little bit. There has been a narrative that's been going on social media, if you haven't seen it already. I try and stay off Twitter, but sometimes it's hard to. People have mentioned the idea that they feel like SA shouldn't be in Star Wars, or something along those lines, that it doesn't have a place in Star Wars or something like that, that we're getting a little bit too kind of close to home with it. But I do think like, just based off what we've talked about, all those situations of like fascism or imperialism or just colonization in general, when you go into somebody else's territory and you've got all this power and you want to take control, it's not to say that everybody in that system has that mentality, but I'm sure there's plenty of like really shady ass characters in those rankings, that given the opportunity to be with some native or some person to show their power and dominance, they're going to take it. And that just comes with the territory. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like somebody's placing this in here and it feels completely out of the norm. Like, this is the empire we're talking about.
Right.
And I think the first two episodes, I think, especially episode 2, because I think episode 2 sets it up for episode 3, in the sense of we get all the horrific Ghorman stuff, their plans. So you see the lengths that they're willing to go. And then you get to see just how vast and empty the planet that Bix and them is certainly on. And then you get that first tease of them kind of meeting. So I think episode 2 is very much a sense of, let's just establish how terrible the empire certainly is, so that when we do get to episode 3, it's not far-fetched that one of these assholes would attempt to try and do something like this. So I've never understood that argument, or how uncomfortable it made some people feel, in the sense of like, SA shouldn't be in Star Wars. Like, this is the empire. Like, I know like you said, Stewart, Will, I feel like some people still have this romanticized view of not only the rebellion but also the empire, or like keeping it in their teenage minds still, without having to go into the groundedness of what the empire truly is.
I mean, I whenever Bix and that Imperial lieutenant met, I mean, the writing was on the wall on that scene, and I was like, damn, they should have put a trigger warning on this thing. Because
maybe
because I mean, I can understand, respect people who maybe it may have, for some viewers, it could be very difficult to watch, just because of just their own personal histories, or may have lived even here in current day, in places where wars and stuff are still going on daily around the planet, and these are some of the atrocities that you see and that people experience, sadly. So I could understand, maybe if you phrase it in that regard, maybe that put a trigger warning on it, so that viewers will know that. I mean, and I know they do have the little banners at the beginning of each episode, but to that point, I mean, we're in season 2 of Andor now. We if you are watching this show, you should understand that this is a more grounded, more adult bit of storytelling, that the show is how they're going to present things in this show. This is not Skeleton Crew. If you want something light, go watch Skeleton Crew. But Andor is going to have some heavier themes, and you should. I think it's totally within the context of the story that they were telling. It wasn't gratuitous, I didn't think. I think it was it was very contextual, and so I mean, it is what it is.
What about you, Crystal? Did you have any thoughts on that episode? I'd really like to get your perspective.
Yeah. Well, the part about it being in Star Wars, so I have the quote right here, because I think both of you are making good points about, maybe there should be a trigger warning, or, that sort of thing, because this is like a real life thing that happens to people. it definitely can be triggering to people. But I think in the context of the quote that you're saying, Adam, it says you can portray power dynamics and making the audience hate the Empire in other ways without taking it to such a disgusting place. The part that loses me is the next part, and it says Vader wouldn't tolerate that shit, nor does the Empire condone it. And I think this is where it starts to lose the plot, because it's like both of you have said, like, this is the Empire. People do really disgusting things when they have power like this. And like you said, it was kind of set up in the second episode. You also made a good point about it being like an adult show. And I just want to draw attention to, like, what do we think Twi'leks were enslaved for?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? But this is just much more of like an adult way to be more like, like Twi'leks were slaves, like because of the way they looked. You know, like, why was Princess Leia in a bikini? You know, for the mature audience, we kind of get it. Also, Kiki and Lucas says, if Bix said he attacked me, that would have been much better. Personally, I disagree, because like, she did say the R word. That's a big accusation, and sometimes you have to call it for what it is. And I think it's important to call it for what it is and not just blanket term it, you know? So I think that is more empowering, in my opinion. But I know that can be uncomfortable for some people. I was worried, though. I was really worried about her, because I thought that like something really bad was going to happen to her, and then Cassian was going to come and kill everyone, and then that was going to like kind of start the next arc. I mean, he did kill everyone, and it did start the next arc, but I thought that was going to be the catalyst, something really, really bad happening. So I'm glad.
I'm there with you, Crystal. I mean, because Adam, you're right, the seeds were planted second episode, so whenever they returned and he went into there, I was really afraid it was going to go to a dark place and darker place.
Right.
But I think, I think it was the point was made. They didn't have to go full freight into but the point was made in the appropriate way, that it wasn't gratuitous. It was in the context of the story, and so I mean, it's just there's going to be some things that's going to happen in this show that's going to be jarring for a lot of viewers, because I mean, I think people do have, rightly or wrongly, and I'm not calling out people's, people do have their thoughts about Star Wars, and that it's is, I guess, lighter fare because of just the way we just have traditionally like watched this series and things that a lot of us grew up on it as kids. So now that we're all a lot of us are adults, and all, sometimes we look, people look through it through their lens, still in their lens as that kid that watched it when they were 10 or 11 or 15 or whatever, versus like looking at it now. So but I saw something fleeting about, I was trying to avoid, very hard to avoid any kind of any of the discourse on this show, because I didn't want to get spoiled about anything, but I did see a reference to that about Bix, and I was like, I wonder what they're talking about. I was like, oh
when I read, I'm glad you had the whole sentence there, Crystal, in context. I remember when I read it, I thought to myself, like, oh my God, they've got like a grape scene in here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And because I hadn't watched the episode yet, but I saw it, I was like, oh my goodness, like, we're really going there, huh?
Right.
And then when I watched this scene, I was like, oh, thank God, like, I'm so glad, but they, like, I'm so glad we didn't get that. But so like, I don't know, I almost don't think. Like, I can see what he's saying, but I almost don't necessarily think the comment was even warranted based off of that scene that we wind up getting. Like, I felt like, had the action actually taken place, I can see maybe why they would make the comment. But after watching it, I was like, he didn't rape her though. Like, what I'm saying? He didn't do it. But
Right.
It was intense to certainly say the least. But I'm glad you mentioned that too, Crystal, in the sense of like, don't necessarily give it a blanket term. Like, call it out for what it is, because we know exactly what it was after watching it and everything he was implying. So yeah.
I think also we forget that Andor is the first show that like gives us sex in Star Wars. It like canonically acknowledges sex. And we even get like in the first season we get like, you know, there's like a red light district, like, you know, and so I think that this shows like the other side of that. Like the Empire is gross and dirty, and this is something that Bix is already afraid of. It's her literal worst nightmare happening, and I love that she does get the upper hand. She does kill an abuser.
Bro, just crazy. Hit him with that hammer the first time. I was like, oh my god, the scream that man gave out. I was like, dude.
Right. And then his accomplice in the car, I was like, oh my God, he's trying to figure out if that's a man or a woman screaming and if he's going to go in there.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Crazy.
Shout out to Marcelino. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much. She says, the scene is still strong. I know a fair amount of people who refuse to watch because even knowing everything, it's still uneasy to watch. Just seeing a woman in a vulnerable spot like that. I totally agree. It was definitely hard to watch.
It's a hard scene to watch. It is. I mean, there's no denying it. But again, like I said, that's the story that we're presented with.
Yeah, Kiki brings up. She's like, it was cool that Cassian didn't hesitate and went straight to rescue him. Yeah, I thought that was pretty badass.
I'm glad you brought that up because that, again, it shows the difference. There's a whole thing about like, the Jedi. If Cassian were a Jedi, let's just hypothetically say it, would he have, let his feelings rule and go rescue his friends? And in this case, but he's not. But so it does show how different people will react to different to situations when people they care about are endangered. And Luke did it too. I mean, he also, he left and his training with Yoda on Dagobah and went to go rescue Han and Leia and Chewie, even though he wasn't successful in getting Han back at first. But I like that they bring that point up again. That even though he has this mission that he has to solve, ultimately he still cares about these folks. That's essentially his family at this point.
Yeah, you have to do everything you can, just like he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great scene to see him just hang up those communications and go straight home to save him. And it's the relationship between him and Bix is an interesting one to me. Like, when she tells the guy I have a husband, I'm like, oh, she's referring to Cassian in that regards, and the fact that he's there to at the end to be there for her, despite him not necessarily rescuing her, but her clearly rescuing herself and whatnot. But the fact that he's there, I love that look that they share at the end when he's flying the TIE fighter and he looks back at her and you can just see like just how distraught she is and the look on his face, like in the sense of like, I can't believe, like I'm sure he felt guilty in the sense of having leave her behind, be gone for as long as he was, sort of thing. But I don't know. I think there's something about their relationship I'm really going to enjoy over the next few episodes for sure after this moment.
Yeah. And also at that moment too, I mean, just the fact that because he was off world, he wasn't there even to help Brasso, and he got there too late.
Oh yeah, the Brasso stuff, man.
I mean that. Yeah. I mean,
did that hit you guys?
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. Because there was several things, because like whenever Cassian, the Stone and Sky, that was their call sign, their code. So they set that, so there's so many things. I was like, oh yeah, that was the thing from Ferrex that, Stone and Sky. And then when I get there and, he gets back and gets to the speeder and sees, Brasso, that he's gone. And, it just really hit because again, this is like, this is his family. These are people he cares about. But, again, it just really shows take it again to my earlier point. It de-romanticizes the rebellion because it's not like just the random like X-wing fighter pilot that gets blown out of the sky that that we see a lot of time that we saw like in the in A New Hope. I mean, this is a character that we got to know, a major character in season 1. Very integral part to Cassian's group and family, and so so we get to see that loss, because of them being the being a part of this rebel group and being exposed because of the collaborator, other farmer, which is another piece of that whole story too. I mean, get into the immigration of it all and checking your papers and everything. I mean, there's just so many levels with the story on the farm planet that we could just really dive into as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It reminded me a lot of the Ahsoka novel. If either of you have read that, but I have not. I was like, it's giving me Ahsoka novel vibes. But yeah, the fact that they were what is it called? Like seeking asylum, or they were like, hiding there. I can't think of the word right, but you guys get it.
I could have a thing of like migrant farmers, like who are undocumented.
Yeah, totally. I was just like, wow, this is so crazy. Like the desperation and like the like you have nowhere to go. Like you can't. It's so scary. And then Brazo was such a great guy. Like he was solid until the very end.
Yeah.
Also,
he really was.
What happened to B2 Emo?
Yeah, did they keep him on the planet? Is he still with the farmer and the wife or whatever and the lady?
I loved him.
I guess so.
He did tell him, he was like, hey, you're gonna stay here with Lyra or Tyra, whatever her name was. But I would have thought for sure in escaping they would have shoved his ass in the TIE fighter with him, but I guess not. I have to look back. But I'm glad I'm so glad you brought up the immigration stuff, man. Like that completely, I don't want to say went over my head, because I was like, they're talking about how, some people are undocumented, some people have visas, but I'm so glad you nailed that for me in regards to the immigration stuff. Because I mean, when you are coming from Ferrix and you've been run out of your planet and you're trying to get away, I mean, you are seeking asylum in some sense, right? Like you are trying to just rebuild some sort of life, stay out of people's sights and stuff. And what better way to do that than go to a completely different planet? That's crazy to me, dude. Like it just, that you made it all connect for me just now. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's again, as allegory. That's the great thing about science fiction. I mean, it's just it's just so. Why a lot of times, like back in the day, Star Trek was able to get stuff under the radar because they were like, "Oh, this is a science fiction story. It's just nobody's gonna like put A to B to C." But it's like the meme,
I'm so dead.
Can we talk a little bit about Mon Mothma? Is that cool?
Yeah.
Can we switch some gears here? First off, I love Genevieve O'Reilly. I feel like the more I see of her as Mon Mothma, the more she grows on me. Like the fact that she's been around for such a long time playing this character and finally get an opportunity to like really explore like her trials and tribulations and stuff. Like she just does an incredible job. They do have a brand new novel surrounding her. I think it's called Reign of the Empire or something like, I can't remember. It's a brand new novel though that takes place during the same time period that I really want to read now that I'm watching Andor even more. But she's such a good actor. And Stellan Skarsgård, who plays Luthen in here, just continues to impress me. There's just this really cool way that he goes from like being this like really charming guy, to then dead ass face serious, like, I mean, he turns it on like this, he makes one turn, he's talking to somebody, the camera angle changes, and you've got like a completely different demeanor from Luthen, and it's bananas just how quickly he can go into it. So I just thought performance wise, at least there's a lot of story to get into, but performance wise, I was a big fan of both Genevieve and Stellan this week.
Agreed.
Also, shout out to Mon Mothma's wigs. They are amazing. I could not stop looking at it. Like I was like, wow, whoever did these wigs, amazing. They deserve a mention in like whatever TV award they do.
Did you like the Chandrilla sort of like the whole vibe about it, the
I
costume
did.
designs and stuff?
I thought the costumes were really well done. I did think that, it's obviously very Asian inspired, and I thought it was so weird that there was like not one single Asian person. And I was talking about it with my partner because we're both Asian, and he's like, "Well, it is sci-fi, so maybe it's like too on the nose to put Asian people in like an Asian influenced scene or whatever." But I was like, someone needs to be Asian. Or like I don't know, maybe there should have been more aliens or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt like I was like, why is everyone here white? Like
It's that
Yeah.
that elite of the elite, man. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Right,
Yeah.
which is its own commentary, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think that, I mean, there's just so much commentary in the show, but I did have I had a buddy of mine mention that to me too about, not one, just the lack of aliens,
Where are
lack
the
of
aliens?
prosthetics.
Right. Give
Where-
us something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there really
But,
wasn't any aliens in the first 3 episodes, was
There
there?
was like
no,
one in the background.
Like,
yeah,
my man
yeah,
can't be working on the fields too? Like,
yeah.
Well, and
nobody
that's
can be a part of the rebellion and something? Like, damn.
right, right. I
Yeah,
feel like
yeah,
there's more aliens than there were Asian people. So
Yeah,
probably, yeah,
probably.
yeah, yeah.
Probably.
I did not pick up the Asian themes in the costuming though. Thanks for pointing that out, Crystal. But next time I watch an episode, I'll definitely look for that. But
yeah.
yeah,
You know,
Something I thought the wardrobe did a really good job communicating was like how like buttoned up everyone was. Like they all have like a
Mhm.
ton of layers on. It's all picture perfect. And I think that also like gives us the audience the picture of like something's fake or it's so
Yeah,
forced. So
yeah, yeah. I've always got that vibe with Mama Martha whenever they're on Trandillans. I can't talk now, but that buttoned up vibe, but also just but the thing that really the thing that of all the scenes on that, there are several things, but the one that really stands out to me is the discussion that Mama Martha was having with her daughter
oh,
before the wedding.
yeah.
And with her mother, Mama Martha talking about her, her grandmother, for the respect to her daughter, and then after, my Martha says what she says to her, and then she's like, we really wish you were drunk, and it was just how gutting that was. And to your point, Adam, about Genevieve O'Reilly's acting and performance, I mean, just that simple tear wipe, just
Yeah.
how devastated, how heartbroken she was. But to your point, Crystal, how buttoned up and how prim and proper everybody has to be. She just couldn't live, couldn't really display that heartbreak that she was feeling, just for the performative sake of, we got to have this show wedding.
You know, yeah, she's done that a couple times in these first 3 episodes with her daughter, and then again with the Thai guy also. Like these moments of revelation that hits her and just like punches her in the gut, but then she's got the wherewithal to, in the sense of like, take a moment for herself, but then just straighten up, suck it up, and get back to business, because she knows she's got to put on a show for people. She knows she can't let her guard down and let people start questioning what's going on. I mean, to be able to just go from point A to point B like that, just from all the emotional turmoil that she's been through, which I think this just carries over from season 1, because I thought her family was a POS the first season. Like, I felt like just treated her so terribly, and I was thinking to myself, oh, we're a year separated, like maybe people are a little bit nicer to her, but like, no, it's still the same family. It's like, even the idea of the daughter crying and the mother, Mon Mothma coming to comfort her and stuff, when she was upset that her husband to be doesn't want to touch her or be near her, sort of mentality. The idea of like her coming to her daughter's aid to be there for her, I thought maybe that would lighten up the tone. But when her daughter says, "I wish you were drunk," I was like, God, like, how you gonna? It broke my heart, man. It broke my heart.
Yeah. I mean, I know. Kiki mentioned in the chat about the interaction and forced her daughter to get married for money, right? Yeah, and that was the case. I mean, this was totally this was the traditional political wedding for money and resources. Obviously, they needed Scudder's money to help. I guess Ty was laundering. I guess money laundering the money through the foundation for the rebellion, but. Um,
Well,
yeah.
well, I thought well, because they did a quick recap before that episode dropped
Yeah.
for episode 3. And I remember they showed the conversation she had when they proposed the idea of like the arranged marriage,
Yeah.
and she seemed very much against it at
Yeah.
first. And then the guy said something like, well, maybe you won't, maybe it's not up to you because of the position of power that you have, sort of thing. Like this is kind of being forced on you. But was there elements of money involved in it too? I'm trying to remember season 1 a little bit more. Do you
I
remember
I
can't.
that?
I had hoped to rewatch season 1 before this season, but hadn't had a chance to finish it all, so I don't remember the whole dynamics there. I mean, I remember the arranged marriage, but and I remember that this I guess Scudder or whatever. I guess he's very rich, and they I think part of it was to get some of his money, but beyond that, I mean, I think just from the context clues in the episode, I think I think that was um, part of the motivations as well.
Do
Yeah,
you remember?
from what I remember, it was that this guy Ty found a discrepancy with Mon
Right.
Mothma and basically
Yeah.
figured out that she's like in the rebellion and was like, well, if you want my money, then this needs to happen or you're gonna get found out. So he's basically like blackmailing her. So she does all
Right.
that. And then that's kind of like what happens again this
This
arc,
is
I
this
guess.
arc,
He's like
yeah.
kind of like blackmailing her again.
Yeah, very much so, in the sense of like everybody else is doing really well, but your rebellion actions are kind of putting a hindrance in my business opportunities, type of thing. And very much, yeah, in the sense of blackmailing, wanting more money, or I'm gonna kind of tell on you. I thought that was she had got a great line in here. The realization that she's gonna have to sort of like Luthen kind of puts it out there in the sense of like, we're gonna have to kill this guy.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
if you don't handle, we're gonna have to kill him. So I said the realization that she is gonna have to off her friend as he attempts to kind of blackmail her. There's a great line when Luthen says something to her and she says, I don't understand you, or I'm not understanding what you're saying. And then he says, how nice for you.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
that was a great line, man.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in that idea of being privileged and sheltered, like
Yeah.
of not really understanding the costs of being a part of the rebellion in that sense.
Okay, I don't know if I was like mishearing my TV, like the audio is not that great, but I thought he was like alluding to the fact that she was gonna have to like leave her life. But you
Oh,
think
I
it
get
was
you.
because they're gonna kill that guy?
I thought I read it as they were going to that they were going to kill.
Yeah, I felt it like
Yeah.
that was like
Hmm,
him implying like that's our only option, because
got it.
he's like the number that he wants, and like it's just if he's
Oh,
gonna keep doing this, like we just can't. And what's
oh,
interesting, and I didn't pick up on this until I watched it again, but I think the I think the thing's already in motion for him
Mm.
to be killed.
right.
Yeah.
Because at
Yeah,
the
like
end,
Santa.
Cinta, yeah, she winds up being his driver, and I was like, oh snap! Like, oh, it's
Yeah.
already Luthen's quick. He's like, hey, Cinta,
Yeah.
I need something from you, and she's there already,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
Unless she's been his driver for a while and she's been following him
No, because
around for a minute.
whenever he walks out to the car, she makes a note that
Ah,
your old driver is
that's right. That's right.
he's off tonight or whatever, and
Oh,
Yeah,
and
I'm
Belle
thinking,
sees
and I was just like,
her.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the whole
Yeah.
everything about that was just like, yeah, everything about that scene, I was like, oh, he's dead. He's gonna,
Yeah, he won't be in
he's gone.
episode 4.
He will no, we won't see him ever again.
I'll
But
see
then
my
it's
man.
Right. He
yeah,
disappeared.
yeah. But you're right. Whenever she showed up, and what's her name again?
Val.
Val. Yeah. yeah, just whenever the look on her face, yeah, that was again just everything about this show, Chef's Kiss. I mean, it's just so
Yeah.
good.
It's
Yeah,
like these little moments, you know what I mean? That you're just like, oh.
yeah.
We gotta talk about Deidre and Cyril.
Cereal. Yeah.
I was like, have I been pronouncing his name wrong the whole time? No, okay.
No. I just think about him always eating the space Fruit Loops to me.
I want to ask you guys how you feel about this relationship. I'm gonna be honest. Like when I first I was a big fan of Dedra from season 1. I absolutely loved her in that. I was like, this is probably one of my favorite characters in all of Andor so far. Her relationship and the teases that we had in season 1 with Cyril, I'm like, this is really like something
Weird.
like something really weird between like what kind. I don't know what emotions I'm supposed to be feeling watching these two together, but it's really awkward and weird at times.
Yeah.
And then they just carry that over here in the season in season 2, and I don't know. It's like it feels like a comedy bit, like I'm supposed to laugh.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the same time, it is kind of charming now. It's still weird to me, but it's a little bit more charming. Because they're complete polar opposites, and the fact that she defended her man in front of his mom, I thought was pretty awesome too, in the sense of like there's something there between them. I don't know if I'll ever truly understand it, but like they do have some commonalities. They clearly have a lot of anxiety. They clearly like think to themselves, or like always in their head all the time. So definitely aspects about them that work, but I definitely took it as, I'm gonna say a comedy bit, but definitely a little bit more lighthearted for those two characters than I was expecting this season.
Yeah, I really, I was thinking about their relationship and just how how things are playing. But then when the mom was coming over and just that whole dynamic of Cyril, like the man just doesn't have a spot. His mom bosses him around. His partner bosses him around. I mean, the guy he's just, he's in his own head. He's like this super dude, but he's.
I mean, didn't my man go to the bedroom and lay on the bed for a little bit? Like,
right. Grow up, man, grow up here. Because when he's in his element though, like whenever he was like talking to that young the new
recruit or something,
the recruit, he was like, I was over, that's my old cubicle over there, but one day you'll be like me, one day you're in that little cubicle and the next day you're running all these cubicles, like little Dilbert, but at the end of the day, I remember whenever mom showed up and the scene between mom and Dedra's like, look, you're in my house, bitch. Don't come around here. Don't come messing in my place.
I'm sure there's so many women that want to say that to their mother-in-laws, like Deidre's an inspiration to them all.
Yeah.
So awkward. I was like, what is happening? Like, what is this? Who's embarrassed by who in this scene? Like,
yes.
I was so confused.
You're right, Adam. It was play for comedy, and we needed that, and because of just the quite frankly, just the deep, dark stuff going on. These were the light moments that this episode definitely needed, and it worked. Because I was just sitting there, just like you said, Crystal, the mother-in-law dynamic was strong with these two. Yeah.
It really was
so relatable to just go lay on your bed when you're upset.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else that we missed that you guys wanted to talk about that we haven't touched upon that you can think of? If not, we will move into our pros, the light side segment of this show. Anything that we took away that we were like, yeah, I love that.
Just the last hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, right. Everything we just said was the light side.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Any cons? Did we bring up any cons? Were there any downsides to this?
Lack of Asian people.
Yeah. Yeah. We got yeah. Like I said, I think the only thing downside for me was, even though I agree with you both, the folks on the Yavin, Moon and Yavin are going to be critical, as far as just maybe they'll end up being the rebel cell that discovers the temples there, and helps establish the base. I do feel like that those things did go a little long. I just didn't feel episode 2 just felt like a bridge episode. I mean, it was good. It had a lot of set pieces, did a good job of setting things up, but I would say of the 3 episodes, episode 2 was the one that did have those moments where overall I thought the pacing was good, but that was the one where I felt pacing was a bit. I don't know if it was a pacing issue, or just that I just wasn't really vibing with the storyline with Cassian, with those guys.
Yeah, I was thinking to myself, like, when is something really going to happen on that island? Like, when is is my man going to get
Yeah.
out of this situation,
Yeah.
and kind of get resolved? I guess while I did find certain aspects of the show humorous, I still don't know how I feel about the comedy bits of Andor, like, in a sense of how Tony handles humor. I'm not really, I don't really look at him as like a comedic director sort of thing, or a writer.
Mhm.
So, like, while I, that's why I was like, am I supposed to laugh at the Deidre and Cyril stuff? Like, it's just so weird to me. Like, I'm trying to really wrap my head around it. There's a lot to laugh about, but I'm like, was that really supposed to be comedic? Am I supposed to take something else away from this? I don't know. I guess it's more weird than comedic to me, I guess. I don't know, but that'd be my only downside.
I actually really liked the Rebel Cell stuff. I felt the way that you felt about that, about the wedding stuff. Some of it I felt like went on too long. Like, they really wanted us to care about like the traditions of these people. I don't care about these people. They're awful people.
I felt that way about the wedding too, come to think of it.
Yeah. I thought like the interesting politics and the emotion underneath everything was important to the story and important to Mon Mothma. But I think some of the way that it was like played out was unnecessary. Like the part where the married couple had like their first dance. I think that the conversation that Mon Mothma had with the Skarsgård father I feel like maybe those two things should have been happening at the same time if they really wanted us to watch the dance, but it just kind of seemed like there was like wedding, serious stuff. So maybe if they were like a little bit more entwined, but I just didn't care about the traditions.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, actually, I do have a pro, come to think of it, though, that I forgot that that you brought up the wedding, but my Martha getting sauced. I mean, she was just like, whatever. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, she just like
threw it back.
Another. Yeah.
She threw it back.
She was throwing it back. And it just seemed, so even though,
I mean, she's like, fuck it, my family don't love me. I'm just gonna drink and have, to my heart, dance to my heart's content. Yeah, have a good time.
Yeah.
Shit's about to hit the fan. Why not celebrate?
Yeah.
I will say my pro. I probably brought this up already, but I want the Chandrilla opening when we get to see Mon Mothma the first time. The set is huge, and the fact that the camera follows her to all these different locations around the courtyard and bumping into the people, like the timing that it's got to take for everybody to hit their spot, be there when the camera's there, sort of thing, your movement's correct and stuff like that. Like I have no idea how many takes it took them to do that, but I just thought it was really, really well shot in that regards.
Agreed.
All right, guys, and with that, you know what time it is. It is report card time. As we get to grade this, should we do episodes or should we do it as an arc? Like, should we
I was
grade it 1, 2, 3, or should we grade it individually?
Think an arc.
I think an arc. I mean, these are three. This is basically 4 movies that we're getting.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, this how long how long do you think this was? Like an hour and a half worth of television, you think?
Yeah,
Overall?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
About
even if you take out the credits and stuff, I mean, there's a good
Yeah, because there's
yeah.
like I think the first episode was 57. I
Mhm.
think the second episode was like 40 something, and then the last one was also like 56. So yeah, we're probably talking like an hour and a half worth of
Yeah,
TV, easy.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely good stuff. Now that we've talked about it, though, before we go into grading, how do you like the concept? Now that we've talked about it a little bit, do you feel any differently about it? Like the 1 through 3, or you still would have rather have them individual?
I think individual, just because I want to like think, I want it to like marinate. There's something about like binging shows where it doesn't make such an impact. But like, I remember when you had to watch things weekly, like it just seems like so much bigger and grander because it's like
Mhm.
12 weeks of you like thinking about this story.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm there. I'm there with you, Crystal. Yeah, this is the type of show that binging does it a disservice.
yeah,
Um,
agreed.
I want to get in Stewart's thoughts real quick. I completely forgot to get these to these. I do want to give Stewart his time to shine, though.
He should have showed up. Okay.
Yeah, if he
Just
wanted to
kidding.
talk, he should be
Just
here.
on his phone. Yeah,
Right.
just on his phone while I'm at work. Just like, hey, yeah,
I know.
he did show up in the chat though. He did show up in the
He did
chat.
pop up
Yeah.
in the chat. Yeah,
He blocked me after this.
he's in the storage room while his boss can't find him.
Right.
Episode 1, he says, started with a bang. I absolutely love the action and visual effects. The performances from everyone is so consistently incredible that I've almost grown numb to them. He says, love how the first episode has a lot of comedy, especially with how dark the next 2 episodes get. Episode 2, he says, it's so hard not to compare this to current events. The show manages to keep reminding us that the Empire is scary when you don't have plot armor to rely on. Also, why am I rooting for 2 of the most evil characters to be happy together? Talking about Cyril and Deidre. Adedra. Episode 3. Wow, they went there. If you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about. Thankfully, it was done tastefully and not just to be edgy for the sake of being edgy. Much like episode 2, it manages to feel very relevant. Also, amazing dialogue with Mon Mothma and Luthen. Yeah, totally agree with you, Stewart.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, he dropped a note in the comments.
Right.
Oh,
Give us your rating.
Oh, he did. He sent me his grade. So let's get into grades. Guys, if you had to take your report card home to your family and be like, Mom, look what they graded Andor episodes 1 through 3. What are you guys going with? Feel free to use the ledger at the bottom. Give me a number, percentage, and that will be your letter grade. Crystal, ladies first.
All right. I'm going to go with a 96. I loved everything about this, but the music was not doing it for me. So it gets down a few marks.
Yeah, that music was kind of
weird.
Yeah, especially episodes 3 ending. I was like, what am I listening to? Like, this is a terrible DJ mix at this wedding.
Right. And it's all sad and melancholy. They just lost their friend. They're traumatized, and it's like,
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, the juxtapositions with episode 3. I mean, I guess it just carried forward this as I was watching it all play out, and I know we're trying to wrap up here, but it definitely did its job as far as just like, we got the performative wedding, all the craziness on the one side of the galaxy. Sort of like what we see here now. People are oblivious to like the pain that's going on out there, and so I think that really just that wedding like really just captured that whole vibe.
Good point.
So that's not actually, So, but I totally hear you what you said about the music. Even I did like some pieces of the score. But that being said, yeah.
So Crystal, you give it a 96, so that gives it an A+. What about you, Will? Where are you sitting at?
I'm sitting at a 95.
Okay. Yeah, probably gonna go an A here also. Um, I'll probably go. I'll go in. I'm gonna go 93. I'm gonna go 93 here.
Oh,
Hey, I mean, Crystal, it's still an A, girl. It's
we
still
all,
an A. Girl.
Yeah.
I mean, we all knew I was gonna rate the show high, so
You said a skeleton crew. You said the end of skeleton crew. I can't wait for Andor A
I know.
pluses. I mean, you're
All
immediately
around.
all around.
Well, yeah. See, Adam, I was there with you. I was like a 93, but after hearing your two comments, that actually notched up my score.
I think it's just the comedy bits for me sometimes hit, sometimes miss, and then the music for me also. But other than that, it's pretty stellar stuff. So I'm gonna go the 93 for now. But Will, you're at 95.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Stewart didn't give me a number; he just gave me a grade. So I'm just gonna say 95 for Stewart for Stewart too. I'm gonna say
Yeah,
95 for Stewart too.
you know him well enough to know that's probably where he's sitting.
So
Right,
I'm
right.
gonna so yeah, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be an A, but we'll see. Let's look at this. Let me get my calendar. We have the 96 plus 95 plus 95 plus 93 divided by 4, 94.75. So 95. So this will be an A.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
I think so. So A
yeah,
plus A for the first arc.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I was gonna write it
agreed.
down somewhere. I don't have my pen though, but I'll write it down later. I have a feeling it's just going to be A's all throughout this season, but
Yeah,
we'll
Yeah.
see how this goes.
yeah.
Oh, he said 95.
Boom! See, that's
Yeah, so-
see.
Kiki said
Keeps
A.
A for her too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good to know. Good
This
to
is
know.
nice. We had like some not great shows, so it's nice to be like, yeah,
Yeah,
Star Wars.
coming out strong. Coming out strong.
Yeah.
I was so worried. I was telling Sarah, uh, or my podcast partner, I was like, I'm really worried. I'm hoping this show will come back strong because Star Wars, you know.
Yeah.
But it did. I'm feeling. I messaged her and I'm like, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about this season myself too. I think it's going to be pretty incredible. There's been some critics that have seen all the episodes and they're just like raving about it already.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to see where episodes 4, 5, and 6 gets us next week as we take ourselves another year jump. So yeah, we'll see how confined or how much of an arc those 3 episodes are when we certainly get there. But I think that will wrap it up for us here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for certainly everybody joining us here. Look, man, if you love our discussions of Star Wars, we're going to be here every Thursday for you guys, 10 p.m. Central Time live. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page if you haven't done so as of yet. I do want to make my rounds real quick. Will, if people want to follow you on social media, man, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on all the socials at Will M. Polk. That's my handle on all the various platforms. You can find our shows, Scene a Nerd, at Scene a Nerd, as well on all the platforms, except for Instagram and Threads, where it's scene_n_nerds. You see our website there as well. Please go there to see all our content. This year we've been having a great run of shows to cover, from Paradise to currently The Last of Us, and we will start our Andor reviews starting next week. So please follow us, and again, thank you for having me on, Adam.
Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure. I love having my Star Wars group here. I've been really thinking more and more about, like, after Andor wraps, like a monthly Star Wars show for all 4 of us to get together like once a month or so, maybe twice a month. I don't know. We'll see what people's schedule is like. But
Okay. Yeah.
I was thinking we should come up with a name for our show, like a Star Wars show name or something like that.
That's a great idea. I'm down, especially now that after all the news of Celebration, we know we're actually finally going to get some new new feature film content. So we could definitely run with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Crystal, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube, where I make Star Wars and makeup content, where I do makeup and talk about Star Wars at the same time. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram at Crystal Kyber. So Thanks for having me. Can't wait to talk next week.
Yeah, she's a great multitasker. I don't know how she does it. She was also on what was the YouTube channel you were just on, the Way Seekers?
Oh yes, I was. I just guested on This Is the Way Seekers. It's my friend's podcast. So yeah, hopefully I'll be on some more. But
Yeah, you guys were breaking down celebration stuff, which was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
To see your stuff over there. But
I covered the Grogu stuff because I'm a big Grogu fan.
Oh yeah.
I have like Grogu everything. Like I'm that person, like the person that has too much Grogu stuff. That's me.
I'm maybe by the end of this show, maybe I'll try and see if I can hang up some of my Star Wars posters in the back here. Fill up some of this empty dead space. I need to, man. I've got so many Star Wars posters.
Oh yeah.
I might have to do that. If you guys want to follow us on social media everywhere, right up here at A Plus Opinions, very active over on social media. If you want to check us out over on TikTok, you can find us there at Hero Report. But everywhere else at A Plus Opinions, and specifically here on YouTube. So please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and that bell notification too. So whenever we drop brand new videos or go live, you'll certainly be notified. But that will do it for us here. We'll certainly see you guys next week. So until next Thursday, do me a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. May the force be with you. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.